Good morning, you're watching Morning at NTV. We're taking notes because we want the population, which is what, 70%, the young people, to have the right information, to live their best life. Joining me in studio is a UNFPA representative, Mr. Alain Sibenala.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Flavia.
Yes, you want young people to live their dream.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a dream to, what, the best life, the best education, the best health care? What are we focusing on it? One thing for them to live their dream?
No, it's everything.
It's everything.
It's everything that you and I wake up every morning and we have a purpose,
Yes.
right? To live your dream for a young girl in Moroto might be different than a dream of someone who's just newly married and who starts a family in Kampala.
Yes.
But it's important that everyone lives their dream because the issues that the country is facing with regard to reproductive health that are directly linked to demographic transition,
Yes.
demographic growth and economic growth is what we want to highlight, but in a very non-controversial way, because some of these issues around sexual reproductive health are controversial, they are sensitive, and Live Your Dream is to give the ideas, the platform, you know, for everyone to express what they want their dream to be.
Definitely. So you've spoken from a young girl in Moroto to someone who's newly married, or whatever phase in life a young woman is at. But the Live Your Dream campaign is not targeted to a whole span. It's just for a particular age group?
No, it's for everyone.
It's
right?
for everyone.
Of course, you know, the two first, or
The
the two main pillars,
Yes.
the two hashtags, Let Girls Be Girls and Books Before Babies,
Yes.
speak directly to young girls.
Yes.
They
In school?
In school and out
Yeah.
of school. That's very important that we don't forget the out of school
Out of
young
school,
people.
yes.
So they speak broadly to the young population, right? But then we have a third component here, which is with youth, which is with you. So to make, is to give the opportunity to young people to raise their voice and to see what they can contribute. And last but not least is to bring the generations together, generation for generation.
Generation for generation.
Yeah, and
Yes.
G4G.
So let's try and break those down. You said letting girls be girls. How do you even define that? How do you let girls be girls? What are girls even supposed to be?
Well, a girl is a human being,
Yes.
right, who is supposed to live according to her human rights as a girl and not become subject of any forms of violence or discrimination. And that's exactly where we see a lot which is happening, which is exactly the opposite, right? You are exposed to a number of risks when you're a young girl because you're a young girl, which doesn't happen if you are a young boy. And I'm talking about violence against girls. I'm talking about all kind of gender-based violence, including genital mutilation, right? That is happening in some part of the countries, of the country, and among some parts of, I mean, some cultures in this country. I'm talking about obstetric fistula, right? Which is a condition we celebrated yesterday, International Fistula Day. I'm talking about violence in school, bullying, mobbing, harassment, sexual harassment.
There was even another issue where a young girl was saying that, you know, she's from a village where, as a girl in the home, regardless of three brothers, she has to wake up, cook, clean, organize, and everything, while the brothers have already started their trek to school. So obviously she's going to get to school late. Her three brothers already in class. So she says, I'm tired by the time I get to the class. I'm late to the class. So my grades by default are going to, you know, not be the best. And so it's already a disadvantage because the chores are expected of the girl and not the boy. And as we let girls be girls, there's a need to also teach the parents, the communities, to understand how to let girls be girls, what their role is, what the equal platform where a boy and a girl can exist in the same community and have equal rights. As much as we're telling girls to be girls, are you also going back and telling the community, this is how to let girls be girls?
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts very, very much, as you said, in the family. It starts then in school, right? And so it's really important to keep to keep girls in school. And so the two messages here are both sides of one coin, right? Let girls be girls, but also have books before
yes,
babies.
Which is our next pillar.
Yeah.
Books before babies. And we're saying that if you're even at 18, honestly, we don't expect you to then put your education aside for this. But when you're explaining this pillar, you also have not just teenage pregnancies, but HIV as well.
Yes.
And there's a gap in access to sexual and reproductive health information.
Yes.
And young people, we had them just a couple of days back, and they're talking to us why there's a gap.
Yeah.
And they said, I can't walk into a health center and ask for information, ask for condoms, or ask for any, because there's stigma around it.
Yes.
And as you say, generation for generation, there's a generation that believes young people should not even be discussing this.
Yeah.
So, which brings me to generation for generation. What generations are you trying to bring together? And you said that, you said these two generations to advance must speak to each other.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually 3 generations.
It's 3 generations.
I'm no longer sure which one I'm in.
I also don't know which one I'm in.
Right.
So yes.
But if I may advance that, it would be your generation, my generation, and my parents' generation. Okay. Now I'm not Ugandan, right? But I think it's very interesting in Uganda that the population is aging, but at a relatively slow speed. Yeah. Yes, it is an issue, but you well know that it's an interesting correlation between age and power or decision-making power, right? Yeah. And that is interesting. And I think that wisdom, that experience of that generation of decision-makers needs to be put in front of the voices of the young people. Right? And the voices of the young people are often speaking just to themselves. Okay. They are preaching to the converted, they're on social media, sending each other hashtags and messages, without that there is that interaction with that older generation, the wise man, the statesmen, the real elders that are giving the perspectives in terms of vision, in terms of experience. And then, of course, my generation, or the generation of the, let's say, 40 to 50, 35 to 50, which are often the parents of the younger people who are currently in an aspiring middle class, right? And who are in a position to sort of mediate. So bringing those 3 generations together is, in my view, extremely important to have informed decision, to have an informed dialogue about the 2 or 3 major policy issues that affect the country. And they can range from anything to anything. Yes,
so you've described sort of how each of the generations speaks to the other, what they would say to the other. And as you've explained, the parents would have more access to the young people. Yeah. And there's been a talk about, just like Live Your Dream, campaigns that are helping young people to speak out more. Yes. And to say, you have the issues, so why don't you tell us? Yes. That way we can work from you backwards and say, let's formulate policies that actually empower you. But there is an advantage in letting young people speak. Is there also a disadvantage in having young people at the front? Because not that they don't know their issues, they do, but are they able to formulate it or to structure their issues where they can actually get real lasting solutions?
Well, that's exactly the challenge here, right? I think, I like in my, line of work as leadership coach, I like to talk about the credibility and the confidence, right, that you need. Now, the confidence is not what is lacking among young people, but sometimes it is the credibility, right? It is about to have your facts right, to have a very informed, substantive knowledge about the issue that you're talking about, not just talking for the sake of talking. And I do sense that there is a disconnect between youth groups that are often not representative, that are often just within their own bubble and constituencies, without that there is this link to constructively make suggestions, to engage constructively in a non-conflictual way with the other. And the other has to be the generation of their parents and the generation of their grandparents. If we get that right, those 3 generations, but also making sure that it's from different walks of life, right?
Okay, yeah.
Public sector, private sector, non-governmental sector, civil society. I think that's the beginning of an extremely enriching journey.
Okay, so are you trying to say that if you focused on generations for generations, you'd actually have fixed all the other pillars of this campaign?
Well, both enrich each other, right? I mean, they're mutually beneficial.
Yes.
But Flavia, there's one that we haven't talked about, and
Please.
that's with youth.
Yes.
And that is really to make sure that, I mean, to enable young people to unleash their potential. And you see it everywhere. I think that there is a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of sort of transformation or innovation labs that are existing, incubations,
yes.
coding, etc. And that is really what the digital revolution and the digital dividends can bring to a country.
Definitely.
So we need to make sure that that comes into the equation as well, and that we give full power to young people to express themselves through their creativity and through their innovation to solutions, bringing solutions to problems that concern them.
Okay, so sounds like Live Your Dream campaign is not just for one group, it's for everyone to be part of this discussion, no matter what generation or age group you fall in, no matter what sector you're working in. So it's a campaign, so that means it has started, it is somewhere, people can take part. Where's the platform? How can we, you know, take part in this?
Well, I want to really call it a social movement,
okay.
right? So that we don't stop at an event and we don't stop at a poster.
Yes.
Right? Now, or a billboard. I'm very impressed with the powerful billboards that we have around the country, around issues that are of direct concern to my organization. HIV, pregnancy, family planning, early childhood, which is all very good, right? But you often lack part of the constituencies that are outside, you know, the converted and those who are already sensitized. So Live Your Dream is really to give everyone the voice to express what they want their dream to be for themselves, for their community, and for the country, right? And yes, Let Girls Be Girls and Books Before Babies is the entry point to this, because we're interested in the 10-year-old girl. If we are getting that right, the investment into that girl's education, preparing her for her puberty, and preparing her to have the knowledge as to what happens in her body as she goes into puberty, we're getting it right. If we're missing out on that, you know, a girl can become pregnant.
And you're nipping these misconceptions that are given to girls as they, you know, grow into their bodies, into adolescence. There's so many misconceptions. Their peers are telling them one story. They're hearing another. So it's great.
So it's important to bring all of this together, right? Very important sexuality, good age-appropriate sexuality education.
Definitely.
Access to information, access to service, and yes, also access to choices. And choice can well mean practicing abstinence, right? But that shouldn't be the only one. But of course,
it's a choice, so we can all have one.
It's the desired one. And you know, we all have our opinions on that, but it's important that everyone is given the choice and the full information, and that's empowerment. Because empowerment starts at that age. When you make a decision, whether you want to have a relationship or not, whether you're going to be in school or not. And unfortunately, the 10-year-old girl or the young girl, the adolescent girl, is not always having that opportunity.
She doesn't have enough information to form her own choice. The hashtag is Live Your Dream on all social media platforms.
UG.
Live Your Dream.
UG.
UG, yes. Hashtag Live Your Dream UG, so you can follow the conversation and don't just follow it, also be part of the conversation. Speaking of young people, by the way, in studio, that was the UNFPA country representative, Mr. Alain Sibenella. I have young people who are on in Munyonyo with Andrew Chamagiro, our man on the ground, and they were talking about how to help and give skills to each other and to learn from each other. And also, I mean, if they're not able to get an education, they have these different skills to help them be financially stable. We're back to you, Andrew Chamagiro.
Well, thank you, Flavia. It has been quite a very phenomenal morning for me. I had a great interaction with the youth here. It has been one of the best youth in action program. And just so you know, it's just not only in Uganda, it's equally in Burkina Faso. And earlier on, Mala had an interaction with a guy from Malawi. It was phenomenal. With me here, I have Moses, one of the beneficiaries. Moses, what is your last word to whoever is out there watching?
My last word to whoever is watching, actually, I want to thank MasterCard Foundation and I want to thank Save the Children for the great job actually they have done, for everything they have done to us. Because like I dropped out of school Actually, I have managed even to go back to school.
Wow, that's good.
I did my senior 4, I finished. I'm now doing a certificate in business administration. So I thank MasterCard very much for the support he has given us.
There you have it. MasterCard Foundation and Save the Children has done a remarkable work. And I think from my point of view as a Montwawansi, if government could actually endorse this kind of program, would actually fight poverty. No one is looking at the children between the age of 12 to 18 who are not going to school. But Save the Children looked at this target and actually they're doing a phenomenal work. Behind me, Flavia, just so you know, you can have mushroom day in, day out, in season and out of season. And I've learned how to do this myself. So yes, the conversation is still ongoing on Twitter, Instagram and on Facebook. The hashtag is Morning at 10 TV.
So much, Andrew, and I guess that's what you were actually talking about. Empower these young people, and once they're empowered, then they don't have time to do certain things that they would have, or bad habits. That is it for Morning at NTV. Of course, our hashtag is Morning at NTV. If you want to follow the earlier conversation that I just had, it is hashtag Live Your Dream UG, and talk about how to live your best life. And as young people, the conversation is generation to generation. Remember, it's books before babies, and how to let girls be girls. Have that conversation. What thoughts do you have on it, on your community? What kind of conversations are you having? The hashtag is Live Your Dream UG, and for the show, the hashtag is Morning at NTV. Have a good morning.